Hey folks, live on YouTube for the first time. I did try doing this earlier, so I don't know. Remember, this is, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. This is about college football debating, specifically SEC and ACC. Also, the college football playoff bracket. If you have a prediction who you think is going to win, go ahead. Hey Sam, nice to see you. Make sure you comment down your favorite team, and if you want to debate about something in college football, I'd be happy to. Because I got a lot we can talk about. So, just a reminder to those who don't know, my favorite college football team is Tennessee for many reasons. Georgia Bulldogs, excellent choice. Let's how about we look at some of their stats? Does that seem fair? So Georgia's actually pretty good with some of their stats. They got the seventh best offense in the entire nation and 12th defense. Pretty good. Their national championship titles, they have 4 of those, which is a pretty good number, but it's not the highest number. There's actually quite a few colleges who have a lot more than them, but I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, they are ranked 3rd in the nation. Also, for passing yards, 2,691 total this season. They have 861 rushing yards and 744 receiving yards. Some of the best stats in this entire thing. Now, what I meant by some teams have more national championships than them. Tennessee has 5. Now, most of these are not recent years. Most of these are back in the 60s and stuff. Now, Florida actually has, hey Henry, Florida actually has very recent ones, and that's pretty cool. But LSU also has 4, surprisingly. I don't even know how they got there. Personally, that's nice. Now, Mississippi State also, that's a team we know. It sucks. I mean, they literally have the 55th rank for offense, and they have the 27th rank for defense, so it's not that good. And currently they are also unranked, and their record currently this season was 5-7. Not so good at all. Oklahoma surprisingly has more than Georgia as well. They have 7 national championship titles. Now, really quick, for those who might be researching this while watching this, I did get most of this information from Google, so please do not blame me. 6-7. Okay, I'm done with that. Surprisingly, what I've done research-wise is that Alabama actually has the most passing yards in the SEC this season. They have a total of 3,500 passing yards, which is very much so a crap ton of passing yards. Tennessee comes in as second actually with 3,444. Yeah, Alabama does stink. I don't like them. Now, I was rooting for them against Oklahoma because, in my opinion, Oklahoma is not a real SEC team. I know they are technically part of it, but in my opinion, Bama's not. For those who are just joining, because I see we have 2 new viewers, this is about SEC, ACC, college football debates. And yes, Henry, that is correct. During the SEC championship, they did have -3 rushing yards, and stuff, but technically, here's my opinion about the Alabama and Georgia thing. Alabama and Georgia have both beaten each other this season, so there's really nothing Georgia can say over Alabama, and there's nothing Alabama can say over Georgia. Now, if you're talking about recent seasons and stuff like that, that's where you can start going neck and neck at it, such as Alabama having 18 national titles and Georgia only have 4. That's a very big thing that Alabama fans use, and even I have used that before. Now, even though I'm a Tennessee fan, I've used the argument since Tennessee has 5 national championship titles to say Bama does not Bama. Georgia sucks, and also Vandy and stuff like that. Even though we lost to Vandy horribly. Speaking of which, I actually got a new Tennessee flag the other day, which was pretty cool. Flagpole and everything works good. The SEC. One of my friends told me, I'm not gonna say his name for privacy purposes, is he told me the ACC is better than the SEC. Here are my main arguments for why that is wrong. When it comes to the playoffs, if we're talking about previously how the playoffs happened, there are 5 teams in the playoffs for the SEC. There's only one in the ACC who made it to the playoffs. I think we can already see a good argument there. 9 teams in the SEC got a rank at some point. One point or another, 9 total teams had gotten a rank in the national rankings. Yes, Henry, the ACC, in my opinion, is weak. There are a couple of Tech fans, Georgia Tech fans I know who are like that. For those who know, you probably already know who I'm talking about. Also, another thing is the SEC has scored a total of 43 national championship titles, while the ACC has only scored 12. And this isn't the entire history of that. Landon Morrow sucks, by the way. I do agree with that. Also, the SEC outnumbers the ACC in members, um, which is 16 members for the SEC and 15 for the ACC. I will say, and personally, another thing about it is this friend I have who said this. The ACC has shown a lot less growth. A lot of people said they have had magnificent growth, which I would argue yes and no to. I mean, we see Georgia Tech in the beginning of the season; they were doing really good. However, as soon as we got to the Georgia Tech's game against NC State, that went horribly. I mean, that was a big upset for many Georgia Tech fans. And they continued on losing. Then they lose to Pitt, and then after that, they went to rivalry week and lost to Georgia. Now, one of my friends who argued Georgia wasn't that big of a loss because it was only by a touchdown. That, in my opinion. But, yeah. Okay, so Sam, I would agree with you in some points. However, there are some teams who I would say are worse than how they play. I mean, Georgia Tech can't do good in some cases, but they still, in some cases, have shown some significant growth. Like, Haynes King is considered to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation right now. I would say, however, like, Arkansas is worse. Florida, however, you could argue they're probably better. I mean, they've probably got more stats. They've got probably more national titles than Georgia Tech has, and stuff like that. Well, yeah, that is true. Gunnar Stockton is better. He is a better quarterback because he literally knows his thing. Yeah, like you're saying right now, Haynes King is a good quarterback. When you compare him to Gunnar Stockton, Aguilar from Tennessee, and also Ty Simpson from Alabama, he's nothing. And the problem is, and Diego Pavia, even he's better. Oh hey, Ali, nice to see you. But basically, when it comes down to final statistics, we're looking at how the SEC overpowers the ACC. And I'd even dare to say that the Big Ten is worse than the SEC as well. Because when we look at it, the Big Ten Conference only has 3 members people actually care about, which is Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana. Those are the ones we really focus on. And even when we go to the playoffs, most of those teams aren't even in. Well, one isn't in, which is Michigan. Oh, Oregon's in there? Okay, I forgot about that. I thought they were in some other conference. I thought they were the Big 12 or something like that. So, Oregon, so 3 teams. And Oregon, even, yeah, SEC is better in my opinion, but Oregon even is not good. Oregon can't do what I think a necessary team needs to do. Oregon's just been getting spoon fed an easy schedule, in my opinion, and that easy schedule has gotten to the point where they have gone to literal the second round playoffs. Now, I'm hoping Texas Tech beats them. And really quick, how about we actually do this? I'm going to go through the playoffs list for second round playoffs, and I will tell you who I want to win. Oh, no bias, who's winning the Natty? So my bracket, I think it was, I chose Oregon to beat James Madison. I chose Alabama to beat Oklahoma. I then chose Ole Miss to beat Tulane because I at least want an SEC team to win. I don't care if it's Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss. I want an SEC team to win. I picked Texas A&M to beat Miami, which, as we could see, that was a horrible thing. That was a travesty. Um, For Miami, Ohio State, I want Ohio State to win that. I chose Ole Miss over Georgia. Now, let me explain this because I know a lot of people are probably going to judge me for this. The only reason why I chose that is it's hard to be a second team twice. The same team twice in a season, and we've seen many examples of that. For example, Alabama, they weren't able. Oklahoma, my bad. They couldn't beat Alabama twice. They beat Alabama in the regular season, but then lost to them in the playoffs. Another example, Georgia. Who was it they played? Oh, fudge, I can't remember. Ole Miss. This is the one I'm arguing about. Ole Miss was beaten by Georgia badly. Like, they got the belt. Now, I'm saying, realistically, I feel like Georgia's going to win this one. I feel like Georgia would win, and I did put them in one of my brackets to go further into the playoffs where they would play Ohio State, which I think Georgia would win that. But we'll get that to a second. Realistically, I want Alabama to beat Indiana because, like I said, SEC's on top. But Indiana is probably going to beat Alabama realistically. For Oregon and Texas Tech, I want Texas Tech to win. That would probably leave Texas Tech at Indiana, then Georgia, Ohio State, which I'd want Georgia to win, and then I'd want Texas Tech to beat Indiana. And then after that, I think Georgia, Alabama, or Ole Miss has honestly a big shot. Now Indiana is also very close, but realistically, I think Alabama, Indiana, Georgia, and Ole Miss have the biggest shots at winning this year's Natty, which I think is kind of good. If Hank King was in Georgia, y'all would have another national championship. No, Mr. Dime, hate to break it to you, that would not happen. Haynes King is not a good quarterback, and when it comes up to stuff, when it comes down to the final stuff, Haynes King is not as good as Gunnar Stockton has been, and even more quarterbacks before him were way better. And I mean, Haynes King is honestly not good. That's my strict opinion about it. I will never say he's better than Gunnar Stockton. Um, and let's see what Georgia Tech's passing yards were. Ooh. So basically, they got 3,100 passing yards. And if Haynes King was the quarterback for Georgia, why did Georgia Tech lose to Georgia? And I know that that's kind of bad to say in a way because obviously Haynes King didn't play for Georgia that game because he's literally part of Georgia Tech. But Haynes King is not the GOAT. And many people say he is, and I think I kind of did earlier. But Haynes King is not the best. And in my opinion, he will never be a good quarterback. Well, hold up. I shouldn't have said that. I think he won't be as good as many people predict him to be. Like I said, the ACC is falling off. If Haynes King was truly what he was said to be, first off, they wouldn't have lost to NC State. They also wouldn't have lost to Pitt. And they probably even, I would dare to say, not have lost to Georgia. Now, that one is a bit more lenient. But in some cases, if Haynes King was actually as good as people say, he would have not lost to Georgia. That's my problem with that statement. And there's even teams who are horrible teams, like Arkansas, Florida, and, like NC State, like I mentioned earlier. Many teams, and stuff like that. Chloe, what's your opinion on Tennessee getting phased? So I've actually not looked into that. Me personally, I don't usually look into the high school recruitment stuff. I might look into that though. Hopefully those players make a difference at Tennessee because right now, our coaching staff and some of our players have not done so well. Now, let me read you some of Tennessee's stats. And really quick, Mr. Dime, I will check that in just a second because that might be important, and I could be wrong, and I like it when people are able to prove me wrong because that is really cool. It shows how they can defend their argument. Really quick, for Tennessee, Aguilar was able to get us 3,444 passing yards, the second best in the entirety of the SEC. We had 983 rushing yards and also 1,017 receiving yards. Pretty good stats for a team. however, we ended the season with unranked. Now we do play Illinois. Now I want y'all to comment down who y'all think is who that's gonna be, but I think honestly Tennessee's got that. We also have 5 national championship titles, so I feel like these two players that are 5 stars that you just said, Sam, I feel like they might make a difference. Now let's look at the Haynes King stats. Okay. Oh, okay, so my bad, Mr. Dom, that I did say some of this stuff. It looks like he did have some good things. But here's the problem. Any quarterback can have a really good game. They can play really well. Problem is, it doesn't mean necessarily you're going to win. And also, Sam, thanks for saying Tennessee's going to beat them, because I'm pro SEC, anti any other conference there is. Personally, when we look at football stats, Haynes King just does not have what many people need. When we look at close stats, the NC State quarterbacks were able to get 3 touchdowns total, and total they also got way more yards than Haynes King did. Now, Haynes King did get some rushing yards, 103 specifically, and that's one thing I like about Haynes King. He does like to run the ball, and when he runs it really good, and that is why they're able to perform so well, is because they're able to run the ball really well, and that is one thing I will give to Georgia Tech is how good they can run that ball. So that is what I'm really proud of them for, and I was really surprised at some of their games. Like, I think they played Miami, beat them. Maybe I could be wrong. Please tell me if I am. They did play Duke though, and that was a big game that many people were worrying about, and they beat Duke. I mean, they had a good season. I'm not gonna lie. Compared to many seasons in the past, they played especially well. I think I just made up a word there, but they played extraordinarily well. They played amazing. And I gotta give them credit for that. I mean, even as a Tennessee fan, I do give other teams who are not in the SEC conference credit for doing good and performing well. Now let's talk about some future games we're gonna see. Give you my predictions for some other bowl games. That are happening soon. Hold up, let me search it up so I can tell you my pickup. Also, obviously, Tennessee versus Illinois. I think realistically, Tennessee's got that. I think we're gonna win. And I think we're gonna perform pretty well. I would search it up on my phone. Problem is I think if I do that, it ends the live stream, and I obviously don't want to end it. So let's see. We have Louisville versus Toledo. Okay. Okay, Sam. I think that one. That's not pulling up here. I guess I'll just say what you said. I would say for Montana State versus Illinois State, for the national championship in the FCS. That one, I've never really even heard of the teams. However, I heard that Montana State did pretty well. I think it was yesterday when they played. So maybe Montana State might do well in that. Illinois State, though, I don't know how they played. Some ones that I found, December 23rd, we have Louisville versus Toledo. We also have Western Kentucky versus Southern Mississippi, and UNLV versus Ohio. Realistically, Louisville's played pretty well, and I think they have a chance at beating Toledo. Louisville, I think, has got that win against Toledo. Now, when it comes to Western Kentucky versus Southern Miss, I've seen none of these teams play. So, realistically, I think I'm going to go with the best option, and I'm going to just say Southern Miss. That's who I feel like in my gut is better. Please can tell me if I'm wrong. Another one is UNLV versus Ohio. Again, I've seen none of these teams play. However, I'm going to go with Ohio on that one. Then we have December 24th, where California will be playing Hawaii. That one, I think Cal's honestly going to win. Ooh, the Pop-Tart Bowl. Here, let me look at that. The Pop-Tart Bowl. Georgia Tech BYU. Okay, sorry, I had to move it because the screen was getting blocked. So Georgia Tech, like I said, they've played an amazing season, and BYU's also played an amazing season. Realistically, when it comes down to the final stats, I will feel like Georgia Tech's going to come out on top. Only because we've seen pretty good stats out of them compared to what the BYU has been able to offer. However, I will say it will be a tough game, but I think like it may go into overtime, and it may maybe not overtime, but I feel like it's going to be one of those games where it's like this team scored a touchdown, well now this team has it's back to back and back. But I feel like in the end, Georgia Tech is going to win that game. I feel like they are definitely coming out on top in that one, and yeah. Holy stats don't mean everything, by the way. Not being mean. Okay, yeah. I only look at stats, Sam, because I like to see what the teams have performed as, and I like to see how they've performed. Now, I do look at other things, like I like to see how they play. I don't know if that's considered stats or not. I like to look at that though. Um, I also look at records because I don't know if that's stats or not, or I don't really know what to go based off of besides stats. If you'd like to explain that to me through the comments, please do so. Because that's honestly what I know. I'm going off based off what I know. So please tell me. Ooh, I'm really thirsty. Alright. Um, Central Michigan versus Northwestern. Then, oh, I forgot to tell you who I thought California, Hawaii is going to win. So Hawaii, I've actually never seen them play. I didn't even know they were a team till like last week, if I'm being real honest with most of y'all. I feel like California's going to win that game, though. The Cal Gold Bears, I think is what their team is called. So I feel like they're going to win that one. Because, like I said, the ACC has really good teams in it, and they honestly are a really good performing thing. So if we look at it, that's what I think is going to happen. Central Michigan versus Northwestern. I feel like Central Michigan's going to win that. New Mexico versus Minnesota. Well, we just love having bold games where I have no idea how these teams have played and who they play. I'm gonna go with New Mexico. Dog emoji. Is it supposed to reference the Georgia Bulldogs since you're a Bulldogs fan or what? Okay, my bad. Sorry, I'm used to the Bulldog thing and stuff, but by the way, I know you said you were a Bulldogs fan earlier. Could you elaborate, like, who all is Georgia getting in? Could you also tell me their ratings, like, star-wise? Also, really good news for my favorite football team, Tennessee, is Vandy's quarterback, Diego Pavia, is predicted. I think he even admitted this, that he's going to the NFL after this season officially concludes. So after I think he plays a bowl game, I think is when he's leaving, which is just grand news for me. Because that means hopefully we can beat them again next year. Because that was depressing. Tight end, 5-star lineman, and we are signing top 5 class. Okay. I think that's honestly a good line. I like that lineup and getting mostly everyone back. Yeah. I will say, I don't like Georgia that much, but after a lot of thought and consideration, I respect them. There are many teams I don't like because I'm a Tennessee fan, but I respect them. And Georgia is one of the main examples. Alabama is another one. I don't like them, but I respect them. I don't want to say, oh, Kirby Smart's your daddy. Well, okay. That escalated quickly. Sam, I know you asked me earlier who, I thought was going to win the Natty. Who do you think, with no bias, do you think has a chance at winning the National this year? The National championship? Please comment that below, by the way. No bias, Georgia. Okay. I can honestly see that. I feel like, so, like I said earlier when I was saying Ole Miss might be Georgia because you can't beat a team twice usually in a team. I feel like that might happen in Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio State's definitely a huge competitor. Georgia and Ohio State, I feel like are going to be the biggest competitors. I feel like they're both going to be the teams that realistically win in those games, and they're going to move on to play each other. And in that game, they both are amazing stats. It's the second best team to come to the third best team. It's really going to be a huge challenge to see who wins that one. Now, personally, Texas Tech and Oregon, that's whoever wins the Georgia Ohio State games. Yeah. Hey, really quick, Sam, as well. I don't know much about Indiana. Could you tell me how good they really are? Because I haven't had enough time to really research them, and I don't. I think they're not a good team. Somehow they just got enough luck to beat Ohio State, and that's how all that happened. So, oh, they're decent. Okay. Who do you think would win in the Alabama Indiana again? No, Alabama Indiana game. No bias. Don't have a good schedule and got lucky. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I've never seen them ranked before. I think Indiana. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they literally had a bye week, and personally, the Big Ten teams they always get ranked, but I don't even know if they actually have good schedules. I mean, I feel like honestly, even though they're ranked number 1 and 2, Indiana and Ohio State should have been replaced by other teams who are actually good. Like a good example, maybe Vanderbilt. And this is a kind of SEC bias, but it's not. Um, but Vanderbilt, and who else? Maybe Texas. Well, not Texas. Definitely not Texas. But there's a lot of teams who deserve to be in there, and they got cheated. Notre Dame's a good example of one. Now, I do not like Notre Dame at all. I hate them, but I do respect them. Let's see. We got 0 viewers right now. Well, that's just great. I think what we might do is if we don't get any more viewers by 11:30, we are going to go ahead cut the live stream. I would say, however, we have done actually better than I thought we were. I never knew we were actually going to get comments on this, so that's really thankful for those who did comment. I'm really thankful. I mean, this channel I have isn't really good, and I don't get a lot of comments, and when I went into it, I knew I probably was going to be good. I honestly have exceeded a lot of expectations I thought I would, but yeah. So, look at it. Let's talk about Tennessee for a little bit, actually. Um, Tennessee's honestly got some good stats. Ooh. Okay, so it looks like actually we're gonna have a lot of. Okay, let's search up football. So we apparently are getting a whole new thing. We're getting a 5-star quarterback. Ooh, okay, this. Ooh. TK Keys, he's a dynamic wide receiver prospect. Ooh. We're also getting Gabriel Osenda, strong offensive lineman. This is all from Google, by the way. Amari Jefferson, we are getting ooh. I'm so happy right now. He's from Alabama. Whew. Wendell Moe, an offensive guard from Arizona. Okay, that's good to know. And then finally, no way. We're getting a good running back. The running back from Duke specifically. Now I don't know how well he did, but look at Duke's rushing yards real quick. Ooh, God. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. Oh, oh my gosh, we have the perfect lineup. Okay. Guys, we might actually have a good season next year. Our schedule, if I haven't mentioned this to most people, which I don't think I have, um, is actually pretty light, low key. Um, Tennessee football has released the schedule, so I was thinking about this. And you gotta always look at the transfers. So we play our first game is September 5th, and we play Furman. That hopefully is an easy win. It's at Knoxville. Hopefully we can beat them. Another one we play is Georgia Tech. This is where it's going to get challenging because Georgia Tech's a pretty good team, and if they play as well as they did this season, it might be rough. But we play them at Georgia Tech, which is not good for us. Although I think they have their own stadium. I think last time it was rivalry week and they used the Mercedes-Benz, but I think they have a small field that they don't use often. And then we play Kennesaw State. That's going to be an easy win, hopefully. Then Texas at Knoxville. That we win a lot usually, only because a lot of people play at our stadium, and that is where we come out on top. Another thing is Auburn at Knoxville. Hopefully, Auburn doesn't play as well as they did this year, and we do get that win because they played amazing this year. Then Arkansas, we almost lost to them this season, which was horrible. We did not play well, but hopefully we beat them. Then we play Alabama at Knoxville. This is going to go one of two ways. If Kalen DeBoer can play as well as he usually does, then we might lose. The problem is, the only way we can win is if our fans lock in at Knoxville, because it's at Knoxville when we play them. I mean, hopefully can win. Now, we play South Carolina at Columbia, South Carolina. That might be a challenging win, but I think we're going to win. Kentucky at Knoxville. It's easy. Now, here's the challenging part. We play Texas A&M at Texas A&M. In case many of you don't know, if you don't watch the SEC, Texas A&M has recorded almost the most loudest stadium ever in any sport. It is the loudest stadium many have recorded. It is. I mean, the student section is all crazy. Because like thousands of students show up to these games and literally just scream at the top of their lungs the entire time. That might be a game we lose. Then we play LSU at Knoxville. And then rivalry week, we play rivalry week we play Vanderbilt at Nashville, which is where Vanderbilt's headquarters and stuff are. That's going to be challenging. Definitely very challenging. We might come out on top. I can't honestly predict that. That's going to be a tough game to decide. But yeah. I think honestly our season next season is going to be very light because we play a lot of games at home. Now let's take a look at Georgia's season. Let's see. Georgia's 2026 football schedule. Let's take a good look. Bro. Alright, so Georgia's first game is Tennessee State at Georgia. That's going to be an easy win, I feel like. Georgia always, in the beginning of their season, they always get the easy teams. They play nobodies. Then they play Western Kentucky, easy win. And, by the way, both of those first games are at Georgia. Then they play at Arkansas to play Arkansas, obviously. Then, we all know Arkansas's not good. That's probably going to be an easy win. Oklahoma, they play at Georgia. That's where it's going to probably get them to win. Maybe the Georgia Bulldogs, because Oklahoma played exceedingly well in many games this season. However, I feel like if they play at Georgia, they're going to lose. Vanderbilt, that's at Georgia again. Vanderbilt, honestly, if they keep getting better like they have been, they might have a chance. Although Diego Pavia is not going to be there next season, so that's where Georgia has a huge chance of winning. Then they play at Alabama. That one I don't want to say anything about. I feel like it's honestly going to be an Alabama win. I hope it is because I don't like Georgia at all. But I'm gonna give you in a second. I'm gonna give you who I want to win on them. Auburn we played the 17th of October. At Georgia, that one should be. It's gonna be hard, but I think we're gonna come out on top. We play Florida and Atlanta. That it's always been a matchup game that's always a rivalry between us, but I think we're gonna win. We play at Ole Miss. Now, I don't know if any of you watched this game, but Tulane and Ole Miss, that was a good game. And considering Lane Kiffin left before that game started, Ole Miss played way better than many expected. Many expected Tulane to probably come out on top on that game, and Tulane lost. So there's just a reminder on that. So yeah. Then they play Missouri at Georgia. That's going to be an easy win. Same thing for South Carolina, even though they're playing at South Carolina. So yeah, that's that. Then finally, to end their season, unless they go into the playoffs, they play Georgia Tech in at Georgia. So that's gonna be probably an easy win if they play like they did this season, and play better actually. Now, let's take a look at Georgia. Alright. So, highly rated defensive lineman from Savannah Christian Prep is going to Georgia as defensive lineman, it looks like. We have Isaiah Gibson, who's going to be edge, who's another impactful defensive prospect from Warner Robins. Fun fact, I actually visited there a long back time ago. Then Zayden Walker will be going as a linebacker from Schley County. Juan Gaston is going to be offensive tackle, looks like. He's from Westlake. And then they are getting... Sorry, I heard a noise. Wide receiver Talon Taylor. Now, that is from... Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. I think I just read... Ooh. I might have read the wrong players. My bad, guys. We are going to look at some people. So, N.Y. Carr is a cousin of one of the Georgia Bulldogs players who is a former high school recruit who's looking to reunite with him on the same team. Also, there's a defensive lineman from USC Georgia is looking at, and also a top-ranked offensive tackle from LSU is being watched by Georgia. Now, for Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, Zachariah Branch, Monroe Freeling, Christian Miller, and Elo Modozi are all expected to stay at Georgia Bulldogs for them. Alright, we might end this a little bit earlier than I said, only because I'm getting tired and stuff. But, thing I will mention, Saturdays, every other Saturday, so like this Saturday, wait, no, not this Saturday, actually, we're gonna do this Friday, I will be live streaming again for those who are interested in tuning in to learn to do some more football debates. It's pretty much going to be set the same. I might actually change it because, like I said, this channel is also a history channel for those who want to talk about history. So that's going to be another thing and stuff like that. I will make a post about what content would you like me to talk about more, college football or military stuff. College football's become a really big passion for me, so I'd prefer y'all say that. But then again, it's y'all's opinions. I can't control that. So, yeah, just make sure you text all that stuff in the comments in this video and also in the polling section of the post. So, yeah, congratulations on this being my first live stream. Remember, hopefully, we're going to try to do Wednesdays and every Wednesday and also, every other Saturday. If I can't do one Saturday, we might try to do that for Thursday or the Friday. I know this Friday we will be doing another live stream. So, yeah. Alright, well, I will, see y'all later. It was great getting to talk with you guys. And, just a reminder, like, subscribe, and make sure to stay tuned in for our channel. See you later. Coley is out. Let's see.